He was only 24, a rising icon, a Hollywood heartthrob, and then gone. James Dean didn't just die in a car crash. He became a legend the moment his Porsche Spider collided with fate. But what if I told you that crash wasn't just a tragic accident? That whispers of curses, cover-ups, and eerie coincidences have haunted his legacy ever since. You see, Dean wasn't just fast and rebellious. He was living on the edge, emotionally, spiritually, and literally. And in the days leading up to his death, he said things that still chill those who remember him. Stick around, because the story of James Dean's final days is far darker than we've been told. And what happened after he died might shock you even more. The rebel without peace. James Dean created the image of the misunderstood young man. Not only did Rebel Without a Cause make his career memorable, but it also marked the spirit of an era. He was a cool, intense person, and hard to look away from. Still, very few knew how much confusion and unrest he dealt with inside. His mother died when he was 9 years old in Indiana, and he carried that loss with him all his life. When he was sent to live with relatives, the young Jimmy felt so lonely that it became part of all his performances. While his fame shot up, he was seen as the rebellion's leader, but he himself was still unsure of his ways. Nobody realized James was giving a performance of his own emotions. Dean's performances were true. He was bearing what he really felt. Consequently, he was being true to himself when he said things like, "Live fast, die young." It was a warning. Not only a star, but also a speed addict. He had a great love for both the theater and speed. He wasn't only someone who liked race cars, he was totally involved in them. He considered that Porsche 550 Spider to be more than a car. It was how he got away from everything. Honing in on the road, he professed, was the single activity that let him feel free and made him think he would never die. Executives in the studios were concerned about him and his movies, but he kept racing anyway. He got his kicks from adrenaline for many different reasons, not only the joy. It was how he tried to handle the stress of being watched by everyone and the gap that came with being famous. His friends were very concerned and pleaded with him when he bought the car that would end his life. But he didn't. He felt that not being able to go fast was more dangerous to him than any risk he took while racing. The haunted Porsche and the eerie warnings. You probably hear the word "cursed car" used as a joke once in a while. In James Dean's case, there could be more truth to the curse than we think. When he purchased the silver Porsche 550 Spider that he called Little Bastard, Dean immediately had it painted with racing stripes. Well-known actor Alec Guinness, who would later play Obi-Wan Kenobi, saw the car and said to Dean, "If you get in that car, you'll be dead in a week." 7 days later, Dean was gone. Coincidence? Maybe, but it doesn't end there. Right after the accident, the Porsche's pieces were collected and offered for sale. People dealing with those parts, whether racer, mechanic, or collector, always ended up getting into accidents, being injured, or passing away. The engine killed another driver. As another person was driving on the freeway, the tires suddenly blew out. His legs were badly broken when the car shell came down on the mechanic. Therefore, many began to believe. They decided that it wasn't just an accident. The car was cursed. The final drive and the cryptic last words. September 30th, 1955. James Dean and his mechanic Rolf Wutherick left in the Little Bastard and drove to Salinas for the race. Dean was thrilled. Because of Giant, he wasn't able to race for months, but now that filming was done, he could race again. They were going down Route 466 when something happened that was out of the ordinary. Donald Turnipseed drove his Ford and started to make a left turn right in front of Dean. The Porsche hit the Ford's side, causing it to go off the road in a flip. His legs were wrecked, his neck broke, and he passed away right away. However, things start to feel very strange after that. Wutherich said that just before the crash, Dean quietly told him that Ford better stop. He will certainly see us coming. And then, nothing. Some people think it had to happen that way. Others believe it was preventable. Still, the accident happened in a way that seemed deliberately set up. The cover-ups and unanswered questions. After the news of Dean's death broke, reports started saying different things at once. It was reported by some that he died right at the scene of the accident. There were also reports that he stayed alive for some time. The police blamed turnip seed for the accident at first, but later changed their story and made Dean responsible. But the real mystery? The wreckage. Just like Monroe and Garland, Dean's story proves that fame is not a solution. It can be a source of constant pressure. It wasn't only bad luck with his car or a bad accident that killed James Dean. Nobody bothered to pay attention to who James Dean really was. Not the studios, not the fans, not the press. In other words, his death gave us more than a missing celebrity. We didn't take care of his humanity because we were so caught up in his spotlight. Personal connection and emotional close. I first saw Rebel Without a Cause and thought James Dean wasn't pretending, but actually showing who he really was. I felt that his confusion, his anger, and his need for love were actually happening. It felt like me. Maybe that's the reason his death had such a big impact. Because it was more than losing an actor. We lost someone who got what it meant to feel different, who stood out and faded away, taking only memories and uncertainty with him. People always say that legends continue to exist after death. Maybe that's true, but the people behind them? They do. Too often we wait to see how they are until it's already too late. James Dean didn't crash because he was reckless. He crashed because he was running. From loneliness, from pressure, from a world that never gave him room to breathe. His story is a tragedy, yes, but it's also a lesson. Slow down. Listen. See people before it's too late. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold truths behind Hollywood's brightest and often most broken stars. Share your thoughts below. Was Dean's death really just an accident or something more? Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay curious and stay kind.